Hello everybody, welcome to another Scottish Watches unboxing. Today we're going to be seeing a very controversial piece from Tudor. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a big Tudor fan. This watch is pretty interesting. Sit back and enjoy.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Scottish Watches unboxing video. I'm Fergus, I'm Watchnosis on Instagram, and I'm going to give you a quick unboxing and overview of the Tudor Heritage Advisor, one of the most underrated watches. And I'm going to show you the opened box. I have had it for a little over a year. I'll give you a tour of the watch, I'll explain how to use the alarm function and let you hear it. And then I'll give you a summary of why I love the watch. The full review is available on Scottish Watches and contains lots of photographs and some strong opinions. Okay, so just before I open this box, I guess it's worth saying that this is not the most popular watch in the Tudor lineup. In fact, it's often overlooked completely. The Instagram world, certainly on my feed, watch forums, even Tudor themselves don't shout too loudly about this watch, and I think that's a real shame. Tim Mosso said recently on a live stream that the Tudor Heritage Advisor is a watch that nobody loves, but he went on to say that actually it's his favourite modern Tudor. So after a year on the wrist, I have to say that I agree with him. It's my favourite Tudor as well. I do own the Black Bay 58, I do own other Tudors, and actually this one, it just keeps coming back onto my wrist. So I think it's really the most interesting piece that Tudor has ever made. So let's get into it. All right, so this is not the box for the Heritage Advisor, but I wanted just to show you this to compare, because this is the standard box that you'll get with the 58, with most, in fact, with all the modern Tudors, I think. If I just open this up here, you'll see that it's a standard black box affair. And inside here you've got, let me just remove that. So inside here you've got a sort of standard sort of velvet pillow and a little place for your spare links and the hang tag and so on here. So that's the basic box. But here we have, if I move that over to the side, here is the watch box for the Heritage Advisor. And it's a little bit different. It's slightly bigger than the other box. I don't know whether they've discontinued this box now. I have seen slightly different versions, and if you look online, you'll see different types of boxes that come with this watch. The cognac version, for example, comes in a brown leather interior. But if I open the watch, here we go. So this is the Heritage Advisor box, and you can see here that it comes on a slightly different layout. So it has a leather interior, it has a leather pillow. Let me remove the watch. There we go. So it has a leather pillow, and let me just bear with me 1 second. I'll take the watch off, pop it on there. So yeah, it's a slightly different kind of box. It does have a section at the back, a bit like the Rolex boxes, that contains the warranty card and so on. And here you've got the hang tag, the old-fashioned hang tag there. So let me show you what's inside the box. So it comes with the older style leather warranty card holder, which I really like, I have to say. I wish they still did this. The old style, in this case, the older style warranty card. And on the back here, you've got the guarantee booklet and the other bits of information. So what I will do is I'll just show you the instruction booklet, because unlike the Black Bays, which kind of gives you a generic instruction booklet, this one comes with its own book. Which I think is kind of nice. although I don't think I've ever actually read it all the way through. Not that there's much in it. But yeah, it gives you some basic information on the watch. It shows you, here we have the water resistance rating. It shows you the various positions for manual winding, date setting, time setting, etc. And it has more detail on that. Goes into the time setting. And then it shows you the alarm display, which I will go into in a bit. Shows you the alarm winding, how you set the alarm. And then it has some instructions for how you adjust the fabric strap. Okay, so that's the box, which I prefer, I think, to the new one. Yeah. So let me close that. I'm going to move that out of the way. So the Heritage Advisor is actually offered on 3 different colorways. Obviously, it comes on the silver linen version that I have here. But it also comes in black, which is, you know, quite a different look and it looks quite sporty. And it also comes in a cognac colorway, which, you know, which is quite a strong look as well. That you can buy the watch on with either an alligator strap or with the bracelet. Obviously, I went for the bracelet. But the alligator strap is real alligator. With the deployment clasp, it's quite expensive as an add-on. So I think it's around £695 for both. Possibly more now, but you know, it's a completely different look. It makes it look much more dressy, I guess, and would be perfect for sort of a black tie event or something like that. Right, let's have a quick look at the watch. If I give you a bit of a tour of the dial, it is, you know, quite a complex dial, certainly feature packed, but I don't think it's too busy. In terms of the background of the watch, I won't cover the kind of heritage and history now because it will take too long, but it is included in the review. But very briefly, this is basically a reinterpretation of the Tudor 7926, which was their first alarm watch introduced in 1957. It was produced to compete with the JLC Memovox and the Vulcan Cricket at the time. There were different versions and different dial variations between 1957 and 1977. Interestingly, the Hodinkee review of this watch got it wrong because they were comparing it to the wrong reference, and they concluded that this new Heritage Advisor doesn't look anything like the old one. Well, actually, if you look at the rare early 7926 on Tudor's website, it looks very much like it. So it is a reinterpretation, a heritage version of that 7926. But I'll list the specifications firstly. I'm not a big fan of sort of just listing specifications, but the key points are, real quick, well, it's a 42mm watch in titanium and steel. So the main part of the case is titanium. The pusher, the crowns, the smooth bezel are all steel. So it's mixed material, which is kind of interesting. It has a 5-year service period, as you might expect. It's got 42 hours of power reserve. It's 100 meters of water resistance. So, you know, but these are not screw down, these crowns. So I personally wouldn't take it swimming. It has the ceramic balls, of course, in the clasp, which are, you know, well covered elsewhere, but you've got to have the ceramic balls. The weight, because it's titanium, it's not as heavy as you might think, but it's not light either. You know, this is not the Grand Seiko Snowflake here. This is, you know, it's a nice weight. So I think it's 147 grams with 3 links removed for me, or 159 grams with all of the links included. So, you know, not really, really heavy, but not light either. Right, the movement. I think it's probably worth just talking about the movement for a minute because it's the caliber T401, which uses a top grade ETA 2892. Which is has been modified by Tudor. So that's a 4 hertz movement, but it has an additional Tudor in-house created custom alarm module on top of that. And this module has been developed, manufactured and assembled entirely by Tudor, which is significant because it essentially means that the Heritage Advisor is the first in-house produced movement in the modern Tudor era. And my experience of the ETA modified movement has been really positive, along with all the other Tudor ETA watches actually. It keeps really good time, well within COSC, 1 to 2 seconds a day. In fact, it's more accurate than my Black Bay 58. So I know some people are concerned about spending a lot of money on an ETA based movement, but this is really top notch in my experience. The dial. Okay, so the dial is, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit further here. So the dial is, I guess, fairly feature packed, and there's quite a lot going on, as I said, but I don't think it's too busy. I don't think it's, this is not the Grand Seiko Sport SB GX 201, the chronograph that, all of these complications serve the main functionality of the watch, the alarm. And, and as much as I enjoy the matte gunpowder dial of the Black Bays, it's great to see Tudor doing something very different. And this is in a completely different world to what Tudor do on the Black Bays. And, I think it's sort of miles apart, and I really, really enjoy it. The inner part of the dial, you can see the new additions here. So at the 9 o'clock here, you can see the date, the alarm display. At the 3 o'clock, you can see the power reserve indicator with that red crescent, which I'll show you how that works in a moment. And then at the 6, you've got this large radial pointer date sub-dial, which I think really works very well. So together, at the 3, the 6, and the 9, together with the Tudor shield logo, it gives it a kind of cruciform symmetry that just really, really works. It does have 2 different tracks. So it has an inner minute track, and it has an outer hour track, which is quite unusual. So you have a choice when setting the alarm of using the inner minute track, which doubles as a kind of 12-minute indicators, or using the outer chapter ring for 15-minute divisions, which is perhaps easier to use. The outer chapter ring is segmented into these 15-minute divisions or 30-minute divisions, or there are thicker markers for the hour. This twin track design with hours and minutes, with the hours, not minutes, on the outer chapter ring, I think it will require a bit of getting used to. For most people will expect to see minutes and seconds on the outer ring, and so it takes a bit of a paradigm shift. But once you've got used to it, it really makes a lot of sense, because the whole functionality is based on setting the alarm, and you've still got that inner ring for the minutes. So I think it does work. The choice makes sense. Just a quick word on the hands. You've got these silver Dauphine hands. They are, again, compared to other contemporary Tudors, they're quite distinct. They're quite different. They would look at home on a Grand Seiko, I think. They're really sharp. And those together with the sort of needle second hand there, as you can see it sort of gliding across the dial. I mean, I think it's, it feels classy, it feels refined, it feels assured. The hands are well proportioned. It's clear, it's legible in a range of different situations. So I think they really work. There is loom on these hands and on some of the markers. You can actually see the loom in some of my photographs. It's surprising how much loom there is actually. I mean, clearly this is no Pelagos, but it's leagues better than the loom on my Tudor Prince date day, which barely works. And it's surprisingly usable. It's not going to win the next Just One More Watch Loom Wars episode, but for this style of watch, for this genre of watch, which often doesn't have any loom, it's really functional and really, really good. Okay, moving on to talk about the case. So the case, obviously, I've mentioned it's made up of these 2 materials. You can tell the difference in colour, but it's not particularly obvious. Certainly not obvious on the Teardrop Pusher or the Crown, but you can tell between the lugs and the bracelet here. But it doesn't bother me. I quite like the look. In terms of the shape, it's really like a big date just, as dissimilar as the Sky Dweller is from the Submariner. So, the Heritage Advisor is totally different to the Black Bays in that sense. it's shaped. It's very curvy. It it has these thinner lugs that follow my wrist very well. So it's a very nice shape. It's fairly thick at 13.9 millimeters, but because it has this sloped flank and bezel here, it does fit under the cuff without a major problem. Having the extra thickness does mean that you can operate the alarm crown on wrist as well, so that's quite good fun, and a little bit less noisy than operating a dive bezel in a meeting, for example. So yeah, it's fairly thick. It has this, as I mentioned, this pusher here, this teardrop pusher. Let's see if I can get that in focus. And this pusher, it's oversized at the 8 o'clock. It's beautifully shaped though. It's thoughtfully placed. It's ergonomic in use. So the shape, the size, the position allow you to silence the alarm quickly without having to raise your wrist to find the pusher. So I really like it. So what's it like on wrist then? If I just pop this on wrist. Bear with me 1 second. So at the moment I'm wearing, just for reference, I'm wearing the Laurier Neptune V2, and this is a great watch. I love the bracelet on this watch particularly, and it's a 39mm. So if I just take that off and then pop on the advisor, you can see that it does fit. I've got a 7-inch wrist. It's a 7-inch flat wrist. You can see that it curves. It conforms to my wrist really, really well. On paper, it's quite big at 42mm, but the important measurement really is the lug to lug. At 49mm, it makes it entirely wearable. And I think on a 7-inch wrist, you can go up to 50mm without any sort of major issue. So as I said, I wear the Tudor Prince quite regularly. That's a 36mm watch, sort of Datejust Oyster case. I wear this fairly regularly, and I go between them, and it doesn't cause me a problem at all. I'm one of those people, I think, that can just swap, can change watch sizes without a major issue. I'm able to sort of reconfigure my sort of visual cue on the wrist. I know not everyone can do that, but I personally think it's absolutely fine on a 7-inch wrist, and probably a slightly smaller on a 6.75 wrist as well, I would say. So yeah, it wears well. It's a good weight. It's not too thick, and there you can see the clasp. Right. So just quickly, then I will cover how we use the alarm. Zoom in. So what you do is you take the alarm crown, put it out to the first position, and you start to wind. And as you wind, you can see that the power reserve indicator, the red crescent, is starting to turn. You can turn this about 12 times before the resistance will build. You don't want to overwind it. And then you can see there as it gets to the triangle where it's fully wound. Once you've done that, you can then put it out to the second position, and you can move the alarm hand here. And you can see that it only moves actually anti-clockwise. So once you're happy with the time, I'm just going to put it to the current time. Oh, gone too far. Once you're happy with the time, you can then turn the alarm on. So I'll turn the alarm on, let you hear how it sounds, and I'll bring it to the microphone so you get a better sense of the sound. Oh, there we go. And as you can hear at the end, it doesn't fade away, it doesn't slow down, as some of the older alarm watches did, and some of the Polyop watches do. So it has that kind of nice ring to it at the end, and that kind of charm just pleases me really. It just adds to the kind of the sense of it being a fine watch for me. The the case is in titanium partly because that's a much better material for the acoustic properties for the alarm. So it does sound better as a result. So that as I said, the entire design is really centered around the alarm. Right, so let's just sum up then as to my main thoughts about the watch. You can read obviously more on the review, but I think the key points for me are that the advisor was an important part of the history of the brand. It showed that Tudor were not just about following Rolex, but they could lead in terms of design, in terms of technical achievement. This watch was an important part of the rebirth of Tudor as well. It paved the way for the success of the other heritage models, including the black bays, which obviously are now ubiquitous, and together with the black bays has helped inspire this interest in heritage more generally, I think. It was and it is the only alarm watch in Tudor's lineup, and actually in Rolex's lineup too. So for the entire brand and family, this is the only alarm watch that they do. It has the first in-house produced movement in the modern Tudor era and represents their sort of first foray into in-house design. The watch typifies what the brand is all about, real heritage combined with, strong design, innovation, quality engineering. It's a beautifully balanced design that not only sort of, evokes that heritage, but adds new functionality in a respectful way, in a thoughtful way, in a way that adds functionality to the watch. And so it stands apart in the lineup for me. It's a different kind of watch, combining this design, functionality and complexity. And actually it shows that Tudor has some more interesting and innovative watches outside of the omnipresent Black Bay lineup. And in my view, this is the best Tudor in the current lineup. However, it's not perfect. I do cover some things in the review that I would change. We've talked about the size, the case, the thickness, which I think would be more popular if it was a slightly smaller size. The bracelet, as is common with other Tudors, the bracelet has a couple of weaknesses. One is that it does not have any it doesn't have any on the fly adjustment, and it only has 3 micro adjust holes. And I think 3 is just not enough. You need 4. And you even see people online who drill their own holes because they can't quite get the perfect fit. Now, for me, it's fine. It works really, really well. But I know for some people, they struggle. And I think having a half link would have fixed that. So there are no half links. There are only 3 micro adjust holes that aren't quite far enough apart. So I think, having said that, it's better than, many other options. The new Tudor Royal, the new the 1926, they don't have any micro adjustment at all, which I just don't think is good enough really. But this is fine for me, but probably not quite as flexible as others in the Rolex lineup. I guess there are some other design choices. I would have made different choices. I would have had screw down crowns. I would have probably had red text on the alarm indicator for the on rather than black, just to kind of tie it together with the red hand and with the red date at 31. And the red power in sort of reserve indicator. So, a few changes I would have made. I think the price is another one. At 4695, it's an expensive watch in the lineup. The second most expensive Tudor, I think, now. So, despite the fact that you can get it cheaper on the grey market, it's not one of these that sell above retail. I still think that puts people off. Having said that, I think it is value for money, given the heritage, given the functionality of the watch. When you compare it to other alarm watches, the JLC Memovox is over 10K. So, I don't think it's bad value for money. But I think the headline price will put people off if they're in two minds about the watch. So just to finish off then, that's about it for this unboxing and overview. The full review is available on Scottish Watches. There are more photos of this watch on the review and more photos of it and other watches on my Instagram. Do let me know what else you would like to see in the future, and I will see you next time.